Hey everyone, welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. In today's episode, we're going to be studying a piece by the 3D artist known as Mostafa Khaled, and in this episode, we're going to be looking at the charm of crystals and magic. We're also going to explore some of the influences of romanticism and medieval fantasy. So let's just jump right into it. So at first sight, we see what appears to be this lone subject standing beneath this massive funnel of, floating and various cracked crystals here. Your first impression is no doubt one of awe, of course. We just wonder what exactly is happening here. We look at placement in space, pretty much everything is set in the center, of course going all the way to the highest of heavens. There is this beautiful accent that is created, of course, by that nighttime setting, so any element of light is going to contrast itself and define itself against that dark backing so easily. You may also notice, the colors within this work, they mainly revolve around this blue and purple tone. We do have some hints of red within this composition in the lower lanes as well. We can't help but see this charm. Of course, the impact of light is just so important here as well. And on that topic, of course, light, we talked about that dark background. Any presence of light is going to contrast and define itself so easily here. There's also a sense of the ethereal that's created within this work. It is, greater than life and surreal in many different ways. You may also notice the impact of texture within this work, right? We see this quite clearly from the translucent but also kind of rigid and cracked crystals within this work to the lighter elements of the flowers within this composition. Even the slightest hint of the cloak of our lone subject. Of course, this work is quite dark, but within this you also have a sense of rhythm. These cracked crystals within this work, the eye is drawn just from one to the other all the way to the very top and peak of this composition. I want to ask you guys, how do y'all feel when you first view this work? It almost feels as if we've stumbled upon this site in a way, right? We stand back and we're viewing this lone subject who is looking or even casting this large subject before our eyes. And so it does feel candid in a way, as if we're stumbling upon this in the middle of the forest. And the use of crystals is pretty interesting, right? Crystals always convey the divine, and that is due to their presence as catalysts or intensifiers of light, right? When you shine light through a crystals, it just makes it even more intense, and that's so important here. If light is a symbol of the divine, the spiritual, and the good, then anything which intensifies light is also going to be divine as a result of that. This lone subject, it's pretty interesting to consider. It feels like he's, casting or commanding the sight before us, so that it's hard to say exactly what's happening. Perhaps he is a, witch or wizard or a warlock of some kind or another. And this work is quite secluded, right? We appear to be within the deep and dark recesses of a forest, so there is a sense of isolation within this composition and kind of a mystery nonetheless as well. The spirits within this work, of course, when you go far into the forest, there is a sense of the power of the natural world. Far within the forest, you may hear animals that you've never even imagined, and it's no doubt that ancient humans ascribe different spirits to those sounds which they were hearing. So deep within the forest, you're going to find things beyond your wildest dreams. And within this work, we see the immense power of magic. And there's a lot of things that we don't really understand in the modern world that has been tackled by science. Where does consciousness come from? There's just so many questions that rise from that. But within this work, we have an example, and stunning example at that, of the fantasy. The fantasy really is rooted in medieval times, the Middle Ages, all the way through the Romantic and the symbolic period. So within this work, we see this stunning blend of both of those into a very charming and captivating composition. I really hope y'all enjoyed. The work before us is pretty realistic. That is due to the digital render medium of creation. The work before us was created in the program known as Blender. Blender is probably the most known and most widely used 3D art program. It is open source, so there's so many different things you can do with Blender, and there's a lot of ways to get started. If y'all want to get into the world of 3D art, Blender is an amazing place to start. I would surely suggest it. But yeah, that's really all I have for today. I really hope y'all enjoyed. Like I said, the work before us is charming and captivating. It is a stunning canvas, a very magical one at that. We talked about the elements of, crystal and magic, the ethereal aspect of that. We talked about the textures within this work, the impact of light. We talked about medieval fantasy, the romantic and symbolic elements of that as well. There's so many different things we hit on. I really hope y'all enjoyed. If y'all did, go check out the original artist, Mostafa Khaled, doing some amazing stuff in the world of 3D art. He creates work from the surreal to the fantasy to science fiction. So there's a lot of different works that you're likely going to discover and really enjoy, no matter what you like in the world of art. But yeah, like I said, that's all I have for today. If y'all enjoyed, go check out the original artist, Mostafa Khaled. My name's Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Polar Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.